Hi, what's up everyone? My name is Anthony, and in today's video I will explain to you the very basics of starting your journey in the front-end web development, what you needed, how to do that, and how to create your very first, quite primitive but still a web page. So first two things you will need to absolutely have is obviously the web browser, and I will recommend using Google Chrome. And you will need a program, a tool where you're gonna write your code. So again, I will recommend you to use the so-called VS Code, which is the free tool to write your code, to use plugins, to edit your code, and to deploy your code eventually. So just go on their website, and depending on your system, download it. I of course have it already downloaded. When you open it, you will see this kind of screen. But first of all, you will need to create a file and a folder, obviously. So you go to the Explorer, you click Open Folder, and even if you don't have one, you can simply create it. I will create one in a desktop. Let's say New Folder, and HTML and CSS, because the HTML and CSS are the main sort of languages to create your web page. So now you have it created. You have your folder, but you don't have any files in it. So you need to click that icon and create a file. So every HTML file is supposed to have an HTML extension. So let's say it's going to be an index HTML. Hit the enter, and here you have it. Now, in order to create a pre-configuration where you can actually write a code, you can just simply hit the exclamation mark and click Tab, and you will have this pre-created template, which consists of multiple tags. All these things are called tags. First of all, you will see a docked up HTML. This line tells browser that he is working with the HTML document and he needs to handle it appropriately and accordingly. The next tag is HTML actually, and if you hover it, you will have some sort of a hint, which you can also click and go to MDN reference, which will open the developer Mozilla website, where you have all the possible tags for HTML, what they do, how to work with them. Also, you will see, you can find the CSS, which is about styling those tags, because by default they don't have a lot of styles and look quite not funny, let's say. Anyways, in the HTML you have a head tag, which has some also information that will tell the browser how to work with your page, what coding to use and encoding, what is the type of that page, sort of what is the wide, device wide, scale, and stuff like that. And the title you can say, for example, is going to be my page, and eventually you will see it when you hover, for example, any tab in the browser, you will see its name. This is the title. And then after all, you have the body. By the way, the head is not visible for users, so whatever you write in here, the user won't see it. And now you have a body, which is the actual body of your page, where you will add your tags, add your text, images, and stuff like that, and it will be visible. So let's create something. Let's say, hey, I'm your brand new web page. And we hit save it. You can save Ctrl S or Command S, depending on which system you're working on. Now, how to open your page in the browser. So you can, of course, open your newly created folder. You can double click on your file and you will see the page, but it's not that nice in my opinions. You can have it in a different way. You can go to the extensions in your VS Code and search for open in browser, and you will have this plugin which you can click and install it. I have it installed already. This will allow you to open it directly from the VS Code. So what you need to do, you need to go back to Explorer, right click on your file, and open in the default browser. So now you have it here. Everything looks cool. You have that page, text, and this is officially your very first web page. Now, the second thing you will use on the daily basis is so-called developer tools in the browser. So you click right button and hit inspect. And you will see that you have that sidebar open. You can have it not only on the right side, you can have it on the bottom, for example, you can have it on the left side, you can have it even as a separated model, but I usually have it on the right side. It's easier for me. And now if you pay attention here on the elements tab, the rest I will explain to you later in later videos. Now you need just elements. You will see that you have exactly same structure here as you have in the code. This is the so-called DOM, Document Object Model. This is the structure of the page that you have just created. And also you have that button that you can click and it will be highlighted with blue. You can hover the elements and it will, first of all, it will tell some color, font, margin, some styling, what is that element, where it is inside, and just click it and it will select it, what you've clicked. But you can't just write the text right here, because I mean, if you need just a text, okay, yeah, feel free, you can do that. But in order to build a page, we use so-called tags. There are millions of tags, as I already showed you in the developer Mozilla. You can go to, again, to reference, sorry, not HTTP, the HTML, hypertext markup language, and you see the, where is it? Labels, elements. You have all these elements here, and too many to understand from the very beginning, too many to remember it, of course, but I will just show you the main text. So first of all, every web page has, if we go, for example, to the developer Mozilla, we have the top side of the web page, which is called a header, like a head, right? Then if you scroll to the very bottom, you will see a bottom part, which is called footer. You also have the aside, which is called aside, actually. You can click it and check what it is. And you have a main area, the content area, let's say, which is called a content. Where was it? Not a content. Sorry, I think they removed it, or yeah, whatever. You also have the sections, OPQRS section, which is basically like the section of your page. So the entire content could be divided, right? So this is a one section, this is another section, this is another, and another, and another. And if you divide it properly, it will be semantically nice to have, because the browser, the search engine of the Google, for example, when people will search for something, will make an indexation, let's say, of your page in a better way. Anyway, so let's start. Let's create a header. In order to create a tag, you can do it manually, of course. You put that less symbol, then you say header, and then you close it with a more symbol, and it will automatically close it in the most of the IDEs. And let's say, hey, I'm a header. And let's do the same stuff. We say we want to have a footer, so you can just type the footer, hit the tab, and it will create a tag and say, hey, I'm a footer. Now you need to save it, so press Command S or Control S, go to your page and refresh. And we have these two guys here. Again, we can just select each of them and we'll see we have a header and the footer. And we also have, yeah, it was not a content, it was called main. Main. It's the element represents the dominant content of the body. So let's create it. Let's say we have main, which is our the main element, and we will have the headline here, which is H1, the biggest one. Hey, I am a headline of the main area. Save it, go to page, refresh, and here we go. Here's the main. We have a H1 here, we have a footer, header above, and this is pretty much it. Now, of course, as being said, if you want your HTML to be semantic and searchable, you need to wrap the logical content in the sections. And there is a section tag. And let's say, hey, I'm a section 1. And let's create multiple, let's say 3 sections. I'm a section 2, I'm a section 3. We save it, we refresh it, and here we go, we have this thing here. Now, this is fine, this is cool, and it's a real page, but as you may notice, this looks quite ugly. So let's add styling. To add a style, you have 2 possible ways. For example, I want to have every section wrapped into the border, and with some spacing inside. So I can add into the tag an attributes. There are multiple attributes, one of which is style. It's a style plus equal and the quotes. And you can say border, solid, 2 pixels, red, for example. The VS Code will already provide you an ability to pick up the color. You click this square and you can just select the color you want. It can be green, it can be red. Let's have it blue actually. So the styles are the name of the style, which is, again, you can go to Developer Mozilla. And here we have all the possible styling names, let's say, which we can use. For example, for border, we have a border block color, and stuff like that. We have a lot of we have a display, contain, columns, and there's just millions of them. Don't try to remember it from the first go. Anyway, so we said that we have a border, which should be solid, because it might be spotted, it might be with dots like and stuff like that. We want it to have, let's say, even be a 4 pixel width, and it's gonna have this color. So we save it, we go to our page, we refresh it, and bingo, we have our section with the border. But also let's add some spacing. Let's say padding, 16 pixels, save it, refresh, and it has a padding. Now, apart from padding, we have a margin, which would say also 16 pixels, refresh. And now the difference between padding and margin. They both add spacing, but the margin, the padding will add an inner spacing, so the element will add a spacing around it from the internal part, and the margin will add a spacing around the element, so it will push the elements neighbor elements from here. You also can, when you're hovering the padding here, you will see the green light and you see the blue border. So the border has been pushed out from the element, because if you disable it, you will see that border is accurately surrounding the element. If you have a padding, it will be distance. And the margin is that you will see that this is an orange highlight. It is pushing all the rest elements. For example, hey, I'm a section 2, is pushing it away from the element, and it's also pushing the headline away from the element. So this is the difference. Padding is an internal spacing, margin is an outer spacing. That's the only difference. But what if we want to have our section with these styles? So we will need to basically add this style to every section, refresh it. It will work, looks quite fine, but you see you have quite a mess here created, right? So adding styles directly to the attribute is not a very good idea. But what you can do, in the head, you can say, I want to have a style tag, and here you write style for a particular element. So I have a section. So what I do, I say section, figure brackets, and I say I want to have all these guys here. Just copy paste it, and we have a rule that every style, let's say, we write on from the new line. Now I want to remove everything from here. I don't need this, I don't need this, and I don't need this. Right, so I save it, I refresh the page, and the same thing here, right? So we don't have styles directly on the elements, but now we have styles on the section. So we can see that every section has a styling applied. You can, by the way, unclick and check here and see how the styles are being applied. Now another thing, what if I want my first section to be with border red instead of blue? Since these styles are applied for every section we have, how should we make it? In that case, we have class names and IDs. So what is a class name? You add an attribute called class, and you say a blue, let's no, sorry, a green section. Now, if you save it and refresh the page, you will see that this section got this class, green section, and now I can apply that, some styling, to a green section class name. In order to target, let's say, a class, you need to put a dot and then the name of the, green section, name of the class. And now you say that I want them to have a red border. So you say border, solid, 4 pixels, but now I want a red one, not an orange. Yeah, okay, let it be orange, whatever. You refresh, and here you have the orange border here. So this is the way how you customize the specific elements. Now, apart from classes, the also popular thing is the ID. ID, and let's say, I don't know, a red section, and we want to apply the red styling. The difference between attaching styles to class names and to IDs is that in order to add a class tag, you put a dot. In order to add a class for add a style for ID, you need to put the hashtag and say that this is, what is it, the red section, and say that the border is now gonna be actually red. Come on, please click it. It's gonna be red, right? We save it, and let's change the orange to, I don't know, the blue one. Let's say it's gonna be a blue, right? To see the difference. Why is it not working? Red section, ID, red section, border solid. It is not working. Red section. Did I save it? Yeah, I forgot to save it. Sorry. So we have a green one, right? Green section. We have a red section, and we have a blue default one without any styling. The difference between ID and class. For classes, you may have a lot of same classes. So we can have green section, come on, green section. We save it, we refresh it, and now we see that we have 2 green because you added a class automatically got a style and applied it. But if you want to try to, let's add another section with ID, the same ID, and refresh it, it will work. However, you should not have 2 unique IDs, because ID is supposed to be a unique one. Even if you hover it, it says defines a unique identifier which must be unique in the whole document. Its purpose is to identify the element when linking using a fragment identifier, scripting, or styling. The problem is that if you have 2 same IDs, meaning you have like 2 unique elements but with the same ID, which doesn't make any sense. And further on, you might have issues pointing that exact one, and this is just not good. Some IDs will even highlight to you with a red line below, or maybe you need to upload some extensions here. Now let's check one last way to declare the styles, and which is basically the best practice one, is to have all this styling into the separate file. So what we need to do, first of all, let's copy the entire styles thing except the tag, remove the tag, and let's create another file here which we'll call style CSS, and we put it here. Now if we save it, nothing will happen and we will lose all our styles. For that, we can go into the head section, here it is, and create a link. Select CSS and hit tab. It will create a tag link with the rel, which is attribute name, the relationship of the link document to the current document. So we say this is what type of relationships. This guy is going to provide us styles, right? And we give a ref, which is the path to that file. Here we save it, we go to the page, refresh it, here we go, we have it here, right? We still have an access to all these stylings, but now it comes from the style CSS. By the way, you can click it, it will open the source tab, and you will see the entire source of the pages and the files, which is quite awesome. That's pretty much it, and this is how you build a page, how you apply styles. Of course, there are millions of classes, millions of styling, millions of, not millions, like dozens of attributes and tons of tags that you need to know, but don't try to remember everything from the first go. You won't need even, I don't know, like 10% of these tags and class names and the styles for the beginning. That's it. Next, in the new video, in the next videos in this course, we're gonna start building the actual web page we're trying to make all the best practices regarding the HTML and CSS, and hopefully eventually we will create some sort of the e-commerce shop page with the catalog, with items, with all the styles, with header and footer, etc., etc. So wish you a great luck in that, quite an interesting journey. And if you liked my video, please give it a like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next chapters. See you folks, cheers!